So, good morning ma'am. This is the group 1 and we will be reporting the topic 5, which is all about the chemicals used on board. And these are the group members of group 1 ma'am. I am Cadet 4 Class Cabarajan Mark R and I will be reporting the classification of chemicals used on board. There are 8 classes of chemical used on board ship, and I will be reporting the first 4 classes of chemical used on board, while Aba will do the remaining 4 classes. So what is the International Maritime Dangerous Good, or the IMDG? So this is the code was developed as a uniform international code for the transport of dangerous goods by sea covering, such as matters as packaging, container, traffic, and storage. So with particular reference to the segregation in incompatible substances, the carriage of dangerous goods in marine pollutants in sea going ship is respectively regulated in the International Convention for Safety of the Life at Sea, or SOLAS, and the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from the Ship, or MARPOL. So the relevant part of both SOLAS and MARPOL have been worked out in great details and are included in the International Maritime Dangerous Good, or IMDG code. Thus, making this code is legal instrument for maritime transport of dangerous goods and marine pollutants as of 1st January by 2004. So the IMDG code has become a mandatory requirement for all modes of transport from air, sea, railroad, and inland or waterways. So the classification of dangerous goods by the type of risk involved has been drawn up by the United Nations. So what does it mean is the IMDG code ay isang formal na international code na ginagamit sa pagtransport ng mga dangerous goods or mga chemical sa barko. At ito ay kontrolado ng SOLAS at MARPOL, at isa rin ito sa pinaka-importanting requirements mula po noong January 1, 2004. At upang malaman ang tamang paghawak ng mga chemical at iba pang kalakal sa barko, at upang malaman natin ang iba pang potensyal na pahamak sa maling paghawak ng mga chemical at mga dangerous na kalakal sa barko. So there are 8 classes of chemicals used on board, and the first class is explosive. So the first subclass of explosive is explosive with a mass explosion hazard. So ito yung uri ng explosive na mayroong hazard na apektado ang buong karga ng barko kapag ito ay sumabog. At ang pangalawa is explosive with a severe projection hazard. So ito naman yung uri ng explosive na mayroong usli na peligro pero walang tumpok kapag sumabog. Pangatlo naman is explosive with a fire. So ito yung uri ng explosive na bumubuo ng apoy kapag sumabog. Pang-apat, minor fire or projection hazard. So ito yung uri ng explosive na mayroong nahina lang ang pagsabog at hindi agad sumasabog. Number 5. Number 5 is unintensive substance with a mass explosion hazard. So ito yung uri ng explosive na may malakas at masidi na pagsabog, bagamat mababa lang ang posibilidad na sumabog. And the last subclass of explosive is extremely or intensive article. So ito yung uri ng explosive na mayroong napakalakas na pagsabog with mababa rin ang posibilidad na sumabog agad. So the second class of chemical used on board is gases, and that is the sign of, or the warning sign of gases. So the subclass of gases in chemical used on board is flammable gas. So ito yung uri ng gas na nagliliyab sa huntong 101.3 kilopascal or 14.7 psi, and has a flammable range of at least 12%. And the next subclass of gases that is used in chemical use on board is non-flammable gas. So ito yung uri ng gas na hindi nakakasunog at hindi nakakalason, kasama na ang cryogenic gases. And the third subclasses of gases on chemicals used on board is the poisonous gases. So ito yung uri ng gas na nakakahilo at nakakahilo sa paghinga, na mayroong boiling point na 20 degrees Celsius at kilala bilang isang toxic na uri ng gas sa mga tao na nagdudulot ng pahamak during transportation sa barko. And the third class of chemical on board ship is the flammable liquids, and this is the sign of flammable liquids. So, what is flammable liquids? Flammable liquids ay isa itong uri ng chemical na liquid type at nagliliyab basta-basta kapag nailapit sa apoy o spark. Example are acetone, diesel, gasoline, kerosene, oil, and etc. And the fourth class of chemicals on board ship is flammable solids or substances. So the first subclass of flammable solids or substances is flammable solids. So what is flammable solids? So flammable solids ay ito yung uri ng chemical na madaling magliyab at nagdudulot ng malaking apoy. Next is self-reactive substances. So ito yung uri ng chemical na kayang sumilalim sa exothermic decomposition o kaya nitong maglabas ng singaw sa katawan nito kahit walang oxygen. The next subclass is solid decentinized explosive. So ito yung uri ng explosive o ito yung uri ng chemical na binabasa gamit ang ibang bagay para makabuo ng pagsabog. Next is the polymerizing substances. So ito yung uri ng chemical na kayang bumubuo ng malaking molecules o polymers under exothermic condition. Nabibilang ito sa explosives which is class 1, pero dahil kaya nitong maagapan, kaya dito na lang ipinagpalagay sa class 4 which is the flammable solids or substances. So the fifth subclass of flammable solids and substances is comprises pyrophoric substances. So ito yung uri ng chemical na prone sa pagsabog o kusang sumasabog kapag sobrang init na sa paligid. And the sixth subclass of flammable solids or substances is yung uri ng chemical o bagay na kayang magliyab o maglabas ng nakakasunog na gas kapag na-expose sa tubig. That's all, and the next class will be reported by Aba Christian.
Good day, ma'am. I'm Cadet Port Class Aba Christian P. So, I am going to continue the classification of chemicals on board. So, Class 5, Oxidizing Substance and Organic Parasites. Subclass 5.1, Oxidizing Substance. Substance which, while in themselves not necessarily combustible, may generally, by yielding oxygen, cause or contributes to the combustion of other materials. Such substance may be contained in an article. Subclass 5.2, Organic Parasites. Organic substance which contains the bivalent of 0,0 structures and may be considered derivative of oxygen parasites, where one of both of the hydrogen atoms have been replaced by organic radicals. Organic parasites are the thermally unstable substance which may undergo exothermic self-accelerating decomposition. So the subclass 5.3 is toxic substance. Toxic substance which are able to cause death or seriously hazard to humans' health during transportation. And subclass 5.4, infectious substance. These are substances known or reliable expected to contain pathogens. Pathogens are defined as microorganisms including bacteria, viruses, rectis, and parasites, fungi, and other agents such as prions, which can cause disease in human or animals. So, class 6, radioactive materials. A radioactive materials means any materials contain radiolytes where both of the activity, concentration, and the total activities in the consignment exceeds the volumes of specified in 2.7.2.2.1 to 2.7.2.2.6. So, class number 7, corrosive substance. Class 7, corrosive substance means substance which by chemical action which will cause severe damage when in contact with living tissues, or in the case of leakage will materially damage or even destroy other goods or the means of transportation. And the last class is class 8. Class 8, miscellaneous damage substance and articles and environmentally hazardous substance, which during transport present dangerous not covered by other classes. Substance which by inhalation as fine dust may endanger health, and substance evolving flammable vapor, lithium batteries, life-saving appliances, capacitors, substance and articles which in the event of fire may from dioxins, substance transported or offered from transport or elevated temperatures, environmentally hazardous substance, and the genetically modified microorganisms or the GMMOs, and the genetically modified organism or the GMOs. Other substance or articles presenting a danger during transport but not meeting the definition of other classes.
I'm Cadet 4th Class, Billiard GRB from Base Mari 1 Alpha. My report is all about refrigerants. First, the definition of refrigerants. Refrigerant is a working fluid which is used to refrigeration cycle of air conditioning system and heat pumps, where in most cases they undergo repeated phase transition from a liquid to a gas and back again. Refrigerants are heavily regulated due to their toxicity, flammability, and the contribution of CFC and HCFC refrigerants to ozone depletion, and that of HFC refrigerants to climate change. Refrigerants like R11, R410A, R1234ZE, R717 are used in various refrigeration systems on board for chilling, freezing in a various refrigeration system, conditioning, provisional cooling, and to maintain temperature inside a hold. Also, refrigerant is a substance used in a heat cycle to transfer from heat from one area and remove it from another. My own understanding and explanation about refrigerants. For me, refrigerants are the fluid which is used to refrigeration cycle, air conditioning, and maintaining temperature on the ship. Also, refrigerants are the fluid that can easily boil from liquid into vapor, also be condensed from vapor back into liquid. Refrigerants are the cooling agents, absorb heat and leave cool air behind the condenser and evaporator. Why refrigerant 11, refrigerant 410A, refrigerants 1234ZA, refrigerants 717 used in the board ship because this kind of refrigerant is used in chilling, freezing, air conditioning. The example of refrigerants used in the void ship. First is the CFC or the chlorofluorocarbons. This kind of refrigerants contains chlorine. They have been banned since the beginning of 90s because of their negative environmental impacts. There's the other example of refrigerants used in the wood chip. The ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and non-halogenated hydrocarbon, such as propane. Common refrigerants in the ship is the ammonia and the carbon dioxide. The purpose of refrigerants in the wood chip is refrigerant is an important substance to cooling and they can distribute the cold to all areas through equipment such as evaporator, pressure relief valve, and condensing unit to reduce temperature down. CFC or the chlorofluorocarbon are non-toxic flammable chemicals. HCFC hydrofluorocarbon are chemicals that are mainly used as refrigerants. Last is HFC or the hydrofluorocarbon. Refrigerants gases are considered the third generation of fluorinated refrigerants gases.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Cadet 4th Class Potential Energy Vincent S1I, and I report in risk of handling chemicals. A chemical hazard refers to the risks that surround using a chemical in the workplace. We find two types of chemical hazard: health hazard and physical hazard. The term chemical health hazard refers to the properties of a chemical which can result in acute or chronic health issues. Chemical hazard and toxic substances pose a wide range of health hazard, such as irritation, sensitization, and physical hazard, such as flammability, corrosion, and explosibility. So, what's flammability? Flammability is the ability of a chemical to burn or ignite, cause fire or combustion. The degree of difficulty required to cause the combustion of a chemical is quantified through fire testing. So what is corrosion? Corrosive chemical can cause destruction of living tissue by chemical action at the site of contact and can be solid, liquid, or gases. Corrosive effect not only can occur on the skin and eyes, but also in respiratory tract and in the case of ingestion in the gastrointestinal tract as well. What is explosive? Explosive can result in damage to surrounding materials, wood, glassware, windows, people, etc., generation of toxic gases, and fires. Almost all workplaces use chemical, which means employees can be routinely exposed to paint sprays, inks, toners, and adhesives. Not to mention a wide range of materials used in cleaning and maintenance, such as detergent and oils. Chemical can be solid, for example, dust, fibrous, liquid, or mist. For example, bleach or gas, vapors. For example, carbon monoxide, chlorine, or ammonia. Some dust are well known for their ability to proceed serious lung disease, for example, respirable crystalline silica or RCS can cause silicone and lung cancer. Long-term health effects caused by dust in the lungs are usually permanent and may be disabling. Bleach is corrosive, which means it can irritate or burn your skin or eyes. It can also corrode metals, when mixed with certain other chemicals or cleaners. It can produce toxic gases which can damage your lungs or be deadly. Inhaling carbon monoxide can cause headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, and sleepiness, hallucination, convulsion, and loss of consciousness, changes, mental confusion, and loss of vision. They can be individual substances like petrol or mixture products. For example, paint, degreasers, ink, and toners. Any chemical in either gas, liquid, or solid from that has the potential to cause harm is referred to as a hazardous chemical. Chemicals include those that can brought into the workplace and used for processing. For example, solvent and cleaning agents, and those that are generated by a process or work activities such as fumes from welding, soldering, or generated as waste or residues such as carbon monoxide from engine or exhaust. So what is the cause of paint degrees? Exposure to vapors or of solvents, paints, and lacquers can cause irritation and damage to eyes and mucous membranes, to the respiratory and digestive tract, and to the skin. Exposure organic substances may cause damage to the nervous system. What is the effect of solvent? Different solvent can affect your health in different ways. High airborne concentrations of some solvent can cause unconsciousness and death. Exposure to lower level of solvents can lead to short-term effects including irritation of the eyes, lungs, and skin, headaches, nausea, dizziness, or lightheadedness. So, what is the effect of soldering? Soldering with lead or other metals used in soldering can produce dust and fumes that are hazardous. In addition, using flux containing rosin gases, solder fumes that inhale can result in occupational asthma or worse existing asthmatic conditions, as well as cause eye and upper respiratory tract irritation. What are the effects of carbon monoxide? Breathing high level of carbon monoxide can kill you. Breathing lower level of carbon monoxide can permanently harm your heart and brain. Carbon monoxide can be more harmful to you if you have heart or lungs disease.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Cadet Class Delgado Jeremy A. from BSME 1 Alpha. And our topic is all about risk of handling chemicals. Chemicals can cause harm to health ranging from mild skin irritation to cancer when they come in contact with the human body. The effects of hazardous chemicals may be seen immediately after contact. For example, chemical burn or many years after contact. For example, lung cancer following exposure to asbestos. Harm can also occur following single short exposure, such as the use of a chemical for a couple of hours or longer-term exposures from the daily use of a chemical. Chemicals can come in contact with or enter the human body through inhalation. For example, breathing in contaminated air. Skin contact. For example, splash. Absorption through the skin. Ingestion. For example, swallowed accidentally. For example, not washing hands before eating. Or injections from sharp objects such as needles. So, this is the examples of the effects of hazardous chemicals. such as skin irritation, dermatitis, or skin cancer from frequent contact with oils. Injuries to hands and eyes from contact with corrosive liquids such as acids and bases. Asthma due to sensitization to isocyanates in paints and adhesives. Lung diseases following exposure to dusty environments such as respirable dust, wood dust, or flour dust. Death or injury from exposure to toxic gas, for example, chlorine, ammonia, and carbon monoxide. Some chemicals also present physical hazards, such as the potential to ignite or support combustion of other chemical substances like an oxidizer. So, how we can avoid chemical hazard? We can avoid chemical hazard by wearing proper PPE or personal protective equipments and utilize our workspace.
I'm Cadet 4th Class Salindato John Patrick D. And let's proceed to another topic, which is mitigation procedures in chemicals used on board. So, mitigation procedures in chemicals used on board are essential to ensure the safety of passengers and crew members. Chemicals are commonly used for cleaning, maintenance, and other purposes. However, if not handled properly, they can pose a significant risk to human health and the environment. One of the most critical mitigation procedures is proper labeling and storage of chemicals. All chemicals should be labeled correctly, indicating their contents and potential hazards. They should also be stored in designated areas that are secure and away from passengers. So, proper labeling and storage of chemicals is crucial to ensure the safety in any workplace. Failure to do so can result in accidents, injuries, and even fatalities. By implementing these mitigation procedures, companies can protect their employees and environment from harm caused by hazardous materials. Another important mitigation procedure is training for crew members on how to handle the chemicals safely. Crew members should be trained on how to use the personal protective equipment or PPE when handling chemicals, as well as how to respond in case of emergency. So, training for crew members on how to handle chemicals safely in mitigation procedure is crucial to prevent accidents and injuries. Mishandling of chemicals can result in severe health hazards, environmental damage, and financial losses. Proper training ensures that the crew members are equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to handle chemicals. Finally, regular inspections of chemical storage areas should be conducted to ensure that all mitigation procedures are being followed correctly. Any issues or concerns should be addressed immediately to prevent accidents or environmental damage. So, regular inspections in mitigation procedures should be conducted to ensure that all measures are being implemented effectively and efficiently. These inspections can identify any potential issues or areas for improvement, allowing for prompt action to be taken. Ultimately, this leads to a safer and more secure environment for all involved. In conclusion, mitigation procedures in chemicals used on board are crucial for ensuring the safety of everyone involved. Proper labeling, storage, crew members training, and regular inspections are all necessary steps toward achieving this goal.
Everyone, I am Cadet 4th Class to Ranger A, Base Marie from 1 Alpha. So today I will talk about MSDS or Material Safety Data Sheet. What is a Material Data Sheet or MSDS? A Material Data Sheet or MSDS is a document that contains information on the potential hazards, health, fire reactivity, and environmental, and how to work safely with the chemical product. It is an essential starting point for the development of a complete health and safety program. So, the major of an MSDS is to ensure the safety of the mariners and the marine environment. It is a document that is provide information on hazardous substances on board a ship that can cause a potential incident. This may be substances that are carried for operational purposes or as cargo.
Today, Ma'am, I am Cadet 4 Class Bano RBD from Base Mari 1 Alpha. Today, Ma'am, I will tackle about the regulations and certificate of MSDS. The regulations. OSHA requires that the employers maintain copies of SDS for each chemical in the workplace classified as hazardous. Although some hazardous chemicals, such as household cleaning products, do not require the employer to maintain an SDS if used for the same purpose, duration, and frequency as a consumer. Next is certificate. What is MSDS testing certificate? A material safety data sheet or MSDS is a technical and scientific document that provides comprehensive health, safety, and detailed information about controlled products. Chemicals are substances that are identified as dangerous and hazardous substances. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.